Welcome back to the Pylon Cam YouTube channel. Happy Mock Draft Monday. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope everybody had a great time with their families. Hope everybody got to eat some good food, spend some quality time with their loved ones. A few things I want to talk through before we start this video. First, if you have beef with the mock draft order, that is not on me. Take your beef up with the mock draft machine and the draft network. They are the ones who set this order. It ain't me. Number two. If you're going to take the time to call me an idiot, it's totally acceptable. I understand. Some of us aren't blessed with the highest of IQs. I just ask that you, one, first call me an idiot. Two, explain why I'm an idiot. And then if you're going to use a word like we, explain who we are. Because I know as fans, a lot of times will be like, oh, I'm a Texans fan, and we shouldn't take Evan Neal at number 2. That's stupid. Just say, I don't think the Texans should take Evan Neal at 2, because a lot of times I get confused in the comments. And 3, this is, and I've seen a lot of people do this mock draft recently and, do this theme recently. I am not doing this theme. I actually am going to post a picture of a tweet I tweeted out, over 2 weeks ago about this. And I think after Michigan's game against Ohio State, this is why this is happening. But that made no sense. After this performance against Ohio State, this is the clear-cut number 1, and I've been saying this for about 2 weeks. I haven't drafted him number 1 in any of these mocks. I guess I should have. But I've just seen a lot of trending mock drafts of let's do a mock draft without Kayvon Thibodeau going first. And this isn't just on YouTube. This is CBS Sports, anything on TV. People are getting tired of seeing Kayvon Thibodeau go number 1. And I think now he won't go number 1. I don't think he's a consensus number 1. Consensus number 1 is who I have believed to be the number 1 overall pick. I guess I was just a little timid to put it out there without getting shredded, but we learn every day, and I should have just put it out there. But my number 1, I guess it's on Twitter, but my number 1 going into the mock draft now for the Detroit Lions, we're going to take Aidan Hutchinson. To generate 15 pressures and 3 sacks by himself against Ohio State is absolutely nuts. This kid, when I was thinking, why isn't he the number 1 overall pick? To me, I guess you could make the argument he is not as good of an athlete as Kayvon Thibodeau, but he is a much more polished edge rusher, in my opinion. He has played better competition, in my opinion, and he just reminds me of TJ Watt. Every time I look at Aidan Hutchinson, I'm just, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, it's TJ Watt. So that's why I've kind of, the timestamp on the tweet is November 13th, or I guess date stamp. But, yeah, I think this kid's just a real deal. He has been for a while. I think Kayvon Thibodeau could perhaps be more of an upside pick, but a little bit of my logic of why I thought Aidan Hutchinson should be the consensus number 1. To me, he's kind of bust-proof, where Kayvon Thibodeau, maybe there is that room for bust if he goes to the wrong team and they can't develop him into an elite edge rusher. If he's going at number 1, I'm not sure how the Texans coaching staff looks. I kind of worry about that. Same with the Lions, whereas Aidan Hutchinson, you kind of have a way higher floor, in my opinion. But pick number 2, we are still going to take Kayvon Thibodeau for the Texans. I think we're in mock draft 5, so for next Monday, we're going to do a special mock draft video where if I was a GM, that will probably be the only video that has trades until come March. Because I don't think trades are realistic unless we kind of have a better landscape of the draft or know who's going where. But not who's going where, but who's trading with who. It's the end of the day. It's 10:30. I'm a little bit tired. Yeah, I think Kayvon Thibodeau definitely would make sense for the Texans to stay at number 2. But I think for the Jets, for a lot of these teams that aren't quarterback needy, it kind of makes sense to move back with how deep this draft is at the edge, tackle, and cornerback position for a lot of those needs. And even I can make the argument that it's very deep at wide receiver. But to change it up, to shake it up a little bit with the Jags, we've drafted them Evan Neal every single time, who just allowed his first sack all season. And this is probably going to get some flack and catch some flack in the comment section. But I don't think Evan Neal is my tackle 1. I haven't thought it for a while. I think he's definitely kind of like Aidan Hutchinson. Maybe you could make the argument he has the highest floor and he's the most bust-proof. But to me, I think the best number one tackle in this class is Aidan Hutchinson. I think this kid is an absolute stud. And he's only been playing left tackle for 1 year. He played left guard at a very, 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 very high level. And I think that he might come combine, come senior day, the whole nine. I think he might grade out better than Evan Neal. Evan Neal is an insane prospect at 6'7", 350. And you could make the argument, well, Aidan Hutchinson hasn't played the most difficult competition playing at NC State. But I really think this kid, his upside is I think he, to me, seems more technically sound than someone like Evan Neal, who kind of seems just like a mauler. And my worry with Evan Neal, too, is when we see someone like this, with this size of 6'6", 350, it kind of reminds me of Mekhi Becton, and Mekhi Becton has been plagued with injuries. I just think Icky, that's his nickname, is a safer bet. 6'4", 320, it's not the biggest difference, but 30 pounds is a lot, and I think that it's going to make a difference for durability. But, yeah, huge Aidan Hutchinson fan. He's my tackle one. I'm putting it on the record now. On Twitter, I've said it a ton, but now in these mock draft videos, I'm going to put it out there. He is my tackle one. But anyway, Jets pick at 4, and then their Seattle pick at 5. I'm not sure how the game is going right now. Last time I checked, Seattle was winning. But anyway, this with Marcus May being on the franchise tag, a lot of off-the-field issues. I think safety, as in Kyle Hamilton, is definitely. And when I say safety, I basically am just saying just Kyle Hamilton is in play here. I think it makes a lot of sense. And I think you could go Kyle Hamilton into Derek Stingley Jr., and you have a fantastic defense right there. You fix your secondary. Your defensive front is already good. But with how deep this edge class is, I think you could definitely draft someone like, if they were to come out, an upside pick in Trayvon Walker. The reason why a lot of people are kind of speculating he might go back to college and play another year, I think his sample size is just crazy small. But if he were to come back and play another year of college, he could probably potentially be a top 10 pick next year if he plays up to his athleticism and upside. Jermaine Johnson is out of Florida State is another great pick that they could possibly get in the second round, depending on how they finish the season. But I just think that the two best players available, and I think Saleh is going to want to go defense. Typically, he built the San Francisco 49ers defense from the trenches out, so you kind of could see like maybe he would want to do that. But with Thibodeau and Hutchinson off the board, I think it would make the most sense to get your safety replacement, someone who could probably be better than Marcus May, and a lockdown corner one. They don't have either of those. Marcus May is very good, don't get me wrong, but I think Kyle Hamilton has way more capability, way more potential. He could play out of the slot. He's a great D-back. He's not going to play D-back, but he's a great in-the-box linebacker, and he's a great ball hawk as well. He does everything well. And then Derek Stingley, a lot of people are trying to say, like, oh, Derek Stingley is not DB1 anymore, blah, blah, blah. This kid has locked the SEC down since he was a true freshman, and I get, like, this is what kind of drives me nuts with how volatile fans are. Like, this kid has shut the SEC down his entire tenure at LSU. And he has, like, 2 bad games and an injury, and people are like, oh, well, he's not the quarterback one anymore. That is nonsense, man. If the Jets could land this, wow, that is a home run first round. 2 first-round picks that you just absolutely hit out of the park. Giants at 6. I don't agree with quarterback being a need here. I don't agree with wide receiver being a need there. I think it should be offensive tackle, interior offensive line edge for their needs. Because quarterback, I can make the argument that Daniel Jones has been playing pretty decent football, hasn't had a fair shot. They have so much turmoil with their offense. None of their players are healthy. Their line sucks. Their coaches are constantly changing. I think this kid has a ton of the intangibles to be a good quarterback. I just think he needs the right system, and that's not a knock on him. I think that football is a team sport, and a lot of these teams' quarterbacks, except for like 5 of them, need the pieces around them to be successful. So I strongly disagree with this. Edge, yes, I understand they need edge help, but I think they need to just fix this line once and for all and be done with it. Even with George Karlaftis there, I don't like him at 6. The other, I think I would take David Ajabo, who's moving up draft boards. I'm not sure if he's a top 5 pick, top 10 pick just yet. I think he will play his way up there. So we're going to go into the offensive line. Evan Neal is right here. He immediately is your franchise tackle at right tackle. Replaces Matt Parrott. Definitely replaces Nate Solder, who's the worst player. Not even the worst tackle or worst offensive lineman. He's the worst player in football, and it is not even close. And then, if I was the GM of the Giants, I probably would trade this pick and trade back, just because I would want to take Tyler Linderbaum, and I can't really convince myself that Tyler Linderbaum, a center, at pick 7 makes a lot of sense. But since we're not doing trades in this mock draft, I'm going to go ahead and take the next best interior lineman available, and to me, that is Kenyon Green. Kenyon Green could play tackle and guard. If anything were to happen to Andrew Thomas, who's been having a year where he's dealt with injuries, here's someone you could either kick Evan Neal over to left tackle or you plug Kenyon Green in left tackle and you're fine. But Kenyon Green is also an elite guard prospect, very good in the run game, run blocking game. That'll help Saquon Barkley out a lot if they choose to keep him. There's just no holes for him to run through. And I'm not trying to defend Saquon Barkley. I think Saquon Barkley has his entire career has refused to run through holes. Someone made this comparison, and it actually is 100% fact if you think about it. They said Saquon Barkley must listen to 50 Cent's album Get Rich or Die Trying before every game, because every time he touches the ball, that's what he tries to do. He'll either just avoid a hole completely and bounce it to the outside and try to go for a 60-yard gain, or just take a loss of 7. And it's facts. It's 100% facts. Huge Saquon fan. I wish him nothing but the best, but I think maybe if you make those holes a little wider, he doesn't have to bounce to the outside and can just run through them. Washington at pick 8. You have safety and QB, definitely two big needs. Landon Collins sucks. He's a huge liability in their secondary. Their defense they've been playing very well the past few weeks. I think they're trying to go for a 3-game win streak tonight against Seattle. I'm trying to see if I can get the score of the game so I know this pick is moving up or moving down. 1 second. Let me see here. Come on, phone. Oh, Washington is winning, 9-17. Word. I picked them to win tonight. Anyway, I think you go QB here. I think you stop playing games. Just you got to stop doing the Taylor Heineke, the Ryan Fitzpatrick, these journeyman quarterbacks. Just take a quarterback of the future. Get your guy. And I think, Kenny Pickett makes a lot of sense, because I think a lot of people don't understand how good Washington's roster is and how good it actually can be if they had solid QB play. I think Terry McLaurin is actually a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. That kid is so good. Maybe not top 5, but he is close in my opinion. I think he's nuts, especially with what he's had to deal with at quarterback. But to be fair too, I don't think, back to the point, Kenny Pickett is not someone I would want in the top 8 if he's just gonna be serviceable. I want someone who's gonna win me games by themselves. I want a Deshaun Watson, I'd want a Patrick Mahomes, I'd want a Josh Allen or Justin Herbert. But I could make the argument for tackle here, because there is a statistic out there, and I mentioned this in the last mock draft, which I'll have in the link description below. If Brandon Sheriff doesn't play, Washington has a 13% chance of winning. If he does play, it goes to 48%. That is nuts for one player who's not a skill position player, just your tackle. And I think tackle is definitely the second most important position in football. I think that's kind of hard to argue. But we're gonna go quarterback here. They just need to get one. And Matt Corral's on the board. And Matt Corral, you want to see him develop in his timing. You want to see him to be better in decision making. You want to see him better and progress through his reads. But I think Matt Corral is still the pick here. You could go Malik Willis and keep Ryan Fitzpatrick or Heineke for another. I think I said Tannehill before. I meant Heineke. You keep one of them for a year and try to hope to develop. Fingers crossed you develop Malik Willis. But there is a gamble that Malik Willis never pans out, which I don't know if I'm ready to say that, but he is definitely a concern in my opinion, falling down my QB boards. But the intangibles are there, the athleticism is there, the arm strength's there, the arm talent is there. But we're gonna go with Matt Corral. I think it's a high upside pick who definitely needs some grooming, and someone like Ryan Fitzpatrick could definitely show him the ropes. Pick 9. This is a Philadelphia Eagles pick, not their traded pick. And after last week's performance against the Giants, Excuse me. I think QB is back in play. I've done 2 mock drafts kind of defending Jalen Hurts and saying he's only had a handful of starts, blah, 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 blah. But if you watch that Giants game, fans were literally chanting, throw the ball, throw the ball. Like, imagine if fans are chanting at your quarterback to throw the ball because the odds are it's going to get picked. Jalen Hurts almost finished that game with 5 interceptions. With their first pick, I want to go best player available. And that's not a quarterback. I'm not going to take a quarterback first pick overall for the Eagles. I think corner is in play. Someone flame me for picking corner. I still just disagree with that. But I probably will want to go edge. And at pick 9, in my head, it's between Karlaftis or David Ajabo. David Ajabo, fun story about him if you don't know who he is as a prospect. He's playing at Michigan on the other side of Aidan Hutchinson, but he's only been playing football since he was a junior in high school. He moved from Nigeria to Scotland and then to the United States to play football and started playing football. And then I think his freshman year he won practice squad player of the year, didn't get too many reps his sophomore year, and now he's having a breakout year in 2021, and he is just like a freak athlete. He played on the same high school team as Odafe Away. This kid is just nuts athletically, ton of upside. But I think if you want the safe bet, Karlaftis makes a lot of sense here. I think that if Ajabo doesn't go here, he will go probably in here to the Atlanta Falcons or the New Orleans Saints. But let's go with Karlaftis. The thing with Karlaftis to me that I really don't like is he's very one-dimensional. He's going to bull rush you, and if you stop that, you completely stop Karlaftis. Not too much bend off the edge. But in the Eagles system, I think it could work. I think if you pair him up with like a Fletcher Cox and could generate a lot of pressure from the interior, you could completely collapse the pocket with someone like Karlaftis coming in off the edge. And then at pick 2, I don't know if pick 10 is where I want to make this pick, but I really think wide receiver is a way bigger need than it's given credit. Jalen Reagor is trash. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside is trash. You would hate to see the Eagles go wide receiver for the 4th year in a row, as crazy as that is. They went Arcega-Whiteside, Reagor, Smitty, and then now they're probably going to take another one. But I think if they wait, the player I would take for them will be gone at pick 13, and that's why I'm going to take him here. The player I really want for the Eagles is Garrett Wilson. I think if you pair him up with someone like Jalen Hurts, there is the likely chance of, like, in an offense where they're going to keep passes close, Garrett Wilson is someone who's going to create separation at a very high level very easily for Jalen Hurts. He's going to be open right off the line of scrimmage, I think. And then this allows for Devontae Smith to extend the field and attack vertically. I like this pick a lot. Another player I would consider taking is Treylon Burks, just because I think it would actually be a very nice compliment for Devontae Smith and allow Devontae Smith to attack the intermediate parts of the field and let Treylon Burks just dominate deep balls and just take over the perimeter. But I don't feel comfortable taking Treylon Burks within the first 14 picks. If I were to take Treylon Burks, I'd want to trade back. But I love Garrett Wilson here. I think it's a great pick for the Eagles. I think they desperately need, because if they have a different wide receiver, they beat the Giants even after Jalen Hurts throws 3 interceptions. Jalen Reagor dropped 2 touchdowns, literally 2. Don't know why they threw it to him instead of Devontae Smith. James Bradbury is playing good coverage, but I don't know, man. I would just trust I would trust my guy if I was Jalen Hurts. At pick 11, so I mentioned this in my power rankings video 2 weeks ago. I don't know why there was so much hype around signing Cam Newton. He's not good. He's been washed for close to like 2 years now. He got beat up by Mac Jones. He just didn't. When I saw the signing, I just didn't know what he added to the offense, and I don't know why everybody was getting so excited about it. His arm is shot, and like going 5 for 20 with 3 picks or 2 picks, whatever it was, definitely screams to me my arm is shot. So as much as they need tackle, I'm going quarterback here. It just begs the question, which one? I think the Panthers could potentially be in win now mode with how good their defense is if they get the right quarterback. But so for me, that's between Malik Willis, like not for win now mode. Win now mode to me is between Kenny Pickett or Sam Howell. I think it'd be interesting to keep Sam Howell in state. I kind of came around to Sam Howell because he really is playing with nothing. I don't think his this step back year is entirely on him. Sure, he's made some bad decisions, but he lost his 2 running backs. He lost his star wide receiver in De'Ami Brown, and his line is trash. But I don't know. It's a tough one because everything in my head is screaming Kenny Pickett because I don't trust Sam Howell, and I'm kind of moving off of Malik Willis. He's a project, and I don't know if they would keep Sam. I don't know. I forget what Sam Darnold's contract looks like, but I don't know if they would keep Sam Darnold for another year to groom Malik Willis, and I don't know if that's the person you want grooming Malik Willis. Cam would be my choice if I wanted someone to develop Malik Willis, but I also don't want to sacrifice another season because I'm playing Cam Newton. So that's why I think we go Kenny Pickett, but at pick 11, I want the guy with the highest upside, so I'm taking Malik Willis. I'm not a huge Desmond Ridder guy. I really don't like Desmond. I don't like Cincinnati at all. I think they're very overrated. I think their competition has been garbage. So I just think they're hyped out of their mind. Pick 12, we have Atlanta. I went with this pick last time, and I think I'm going to do it again. David Ajabo just makes the most sense to me. Pick 12 is too high for Jordan Davis. They could definitely go quarterback. Like, quarterback is definitely in play here. I just think Kenny Pickett, actually, to me, like, my player comp for Kenny Pickett is a more athletic Matt Ryan. So I guess it makes sense here. But I think they can't generate any pressure. They have like one of the worst pass rushers in the league, and they can't stop the run. And David Ajabo is just sitting here. And I think to me, he would probably be the last edge rusher I would take in the first round, unless Jermaine Johnson, Kingsley Enagbare, I always forgot to pronounce his name, JJ Enagbare, or I think I said Jermaine Johnson twice, or Trayvon Walker just like go nuts. I just don't trust Trayvon Walker's sample size too much, but I think the athleticism in his play is there. I just want to see more of it. So it just depends. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this is a super deep edge class, like super deep. But let's go QB for Atlanta. I know Matt Ryan is playing well, but how much longer does he have left? And like, if you get someone like Kenny Pickett, like I think they would be in play for Malik Willis as well, which would be a super cool fit for Atlanta. But we're gonna go with Kenny Pickett. Then at pick 13, I don't like the idea of going QB. We've gone wide receiver just about every single time. Last time we went Jameson Williams, who I think would be a very good pairing with what's his face? Michael Thomas when he comes back. I also think you could definitely. I'm not a huge Olave guy, but he is definitely in play here. I like Jahan Dotson a lot. Jahan Dotson has grown on me. For his size at 5'11", his catch radius is way bigger than it should be, which is very nice. And I think he kind of helps open up the field too for Michael Thomas, because Michael Thomas really could do everything. I know he's dubbed Slant Boy, but I am a firm believer, and that's because of Drew Brees' dying arm rather than Michael Thomas' skill set. So we could go receiver at 13, but like I kind of mentioned before, David Ojabo's upside is just so high, and they really do need to start kind of reconstructing that defense as they're losing a ton. They lost a ton of players due to cap casualties. I think Ajabo is worth the pick here, even though it may not be the biggest positional need. But I don't want to go QB. I think Jameis Williams is playing, or Jameis Winston was playing very well for when he was playing. So I'm going to go with David Ajabo. I think this is the best player available. If you look at the board. Hello? Okay. Not too big on DeMarvin Leal. I like Elam. I think Olave is definitely in play here. Yeah. I think Ajabo is best player available for their positional needs. I've just gone receiver so much for them, and it's definitely in play. I just think at pick 13, like, you want to be certain about your receiver. And I think there's a lot more certainty in like the coaching staff of the Saints to make David Ajabo a very good football player. But yeah, I think with this pick we're just going to make our strength stronger and leave our weaknesses to be. But at pick 14, this is where I think QB would be in play for the Eagles, but with the last two going on the board, you could go Sam Howell. I'm not sure if it's the best pick, and like I said, I don't really believe in Desmond Ridder. I'd have to do more study on him before I was ready to pick him at 14. But I think we're going to go corner here and just keep addressing the defense. I got someone was really upset I took Kaiir Elam. I'm not too sure why. To me, Kaiir Elam is my cornerback 2. I know there's a lot of injury concern with him, but when he's thrown, people just don't throw the ball at him. He's huge. He's 6'2", and he's a very physical receiver. And I think in a division like the NFC East, where you would have to go up against Terry McLaurin, Kenny Golladay, Kadarius Toney, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Michael Gallup, this is someone you would want. I think Andrew Booth Jr., the athleticism is there, but I'm a little bit worried because if you watch him play against physical receivers, he just got bodied by NC State when they played Clemson a while back. He has the athleticism, but he kind of gets pushed around a lot. That's the one thing I noticed. Roger McCreary is definitely in play. I don't know why he's at 45. This kid's going to shoot up the board. Trent McDuffie is also in play. I think for me, Kaiir Elam's skill set is very well suited for the NFC East. And if you couple him with Darius Slay and put him as your cornerback too, I think you have a very good secondary, along with addressing edge with your first pick. And they're going to help out the offense with this wide receiver. I think this is a very good pick. But if that dude comes back, I'm sorry. I just think it's the right pick. At pick 15, again, QB is in play. But I think, and I kind of agree with this, there's a huge percentage of Steelers fans who believe they're not going to draft a quarterback and just address it in free agency. I think they're the hottest spot for Aaron Rodgers. I just don't know if you'd want to move to Pittsburgh. I think for someone who with Aaron Rodgers' personality, that's not it. And that could be a kind of weird reason, but I think it does come into play. His Cheyenne Woodley or whatever his fiance's name is a Hollywood star. Why would she want to move to Pittsburgh? I think O-line is definitely in play. They need tackle help. Charles Cross is on the board. Trevor Penning is on the board. Petit Ferrier. I can't pronounce that kid's name. Nicholas is in play, as we call him on this channel. And then I like Darian Kennard. This kid could play tackle or guard. He's playing right tackle right now for Kentucky. Very strong in the run game. And what do the Steelers do? They run the ball. Odds are they probably don't have this pick. Now that I'm thinking about it, because they're probably going to trade it. But because they do have it, I'm going to draft for them as if they were drafting with this pick. I think they have the perimeter weapons to draft someone like Charles Cross, who's going to excel in an air raid scheme. But I think with the Steelers' nature, just who they are as a franchise, they're just always going to run the ball. And I think we could definitely go corner here. I think corner is also in play. Just with the constant injuries to TJ Watt, constant injuries to I can't remember his name. All the injuries they have up front. They need depth at corner, and they need skilled corners to let those edge rushers have the time to get to the quarterback. And Ahmad Gardner definitely could be in play here. I just think I'm going to get absolutely slaughtered if I don't go quarterback or tackle. I think it just makes sense to go tackle or offensive line here. And we're gonna go offensive line. I'm gonna take someone I've mocked the Steelers quite a bit, Darian Kennard. I think just his ability to play tackle and guard at a high level and just excel in a run-centric offense, this is a perfect pick, especially with Najee Harris behind him. Great pick for the Steelers. And then at pick 16 with the Denver Broncos, I think QB should be more in play, and more of a reach for this team than any other team, just because, hear me out, when I was looking at this before, thinking about this before, Sam Howell makes a ton of sense for the Broncos. And here's why. The Broncos have a very well-balanced offense. They need offensive line help, especially at the tackle position. But Sam Howell right now in North Carolina is running an RPO offense, and I'm not saying that the Broncos will do that, but think about this. Sam Howell's star running back, Javonte Williams, is on the Broncos, and he will have the skill position players around him to throw the ball, which he can. He has a decent arm. I think giving him the familiarity with his running back would make him more comfortable. And then if you give him a better skill position players than he's ever had at at Chapel Hill, he's going to be fine in the offense. To me, Sam Howell is a Baker Mayfield with more upside. He's way more mobile than Baker. He has a slightly less talented arm. But, I mean, we're seeing Baker Mayfield just flounder with the best roster in football. But Sam Howell, I think he could definitely get the job done for the Broncos. And I think at pick 16, I'd be comfortable enough to play him. Because I think he's a victim of his environment, not a victim of his play, if that makes sense. And then at pick 17, so I was thinking about this. I think with this with this team, I definitely want to go O-line. Just because their O-line is just got completely gutted before the offseason of 2021. In the offseason of 2021. And I think at pick 17, it makes a lot of sense to go Tyler Linderbaum. They have, I think, the 34th, according to PFF, they have the 34th graded center in football. I actually have it pulled up. Hold on, let me just check. 25th, Andre James. But I think if they don't go Linderbaum, tackle is where they need to go. Just because you have Alex Leatherwood, who has unrealistic expectations on him because of where he was drafted last year, thanks to John Gruden, who's like the worst drafter of all time. But tackle is definitely in play. And you could kick Leatherwood into guard. Or you probably kick him into guard. But he's been pretty bad either way. I just think he needs help. I don't think he could be come in, be a franchise tackle right away and just protects Derek Carr like any of the other guys who got drafted before him. He's not a Rashawn Slater talent. He's not even a Penei Sewell talent. It was kind of crazy that he went at pick I think 18 last year. I think Charles Cross or Trevor Penning would be my pick here. I really like Trevor Penning out of Northern Iowa. Phenomenal talent, just constantly like that. You can make the argument he bodies people because of where he's playing at Northern Iowa. But I think with his size at 6'7", 320, he's just an absolute beast, absolute wall of a human being. But Charles Cross, definitely more polished pass blocker, and in an air raid offense that the Raiders have now adopted because they can't really run the ball as well as they want to with what they've done to their interior offensive line. I think we're going to go Charles Cross here. I think this is a great pick. I think it makes the most sense for their team. And then at pick 18, we had Cleveland Browns. I think the biggest need for the Browns is wide receiver if they're going to address it in the draft. I could argue that quarterback is their second biggest need or their first biggest need. But I don't think a team like the Browns is going to address it in the draft if they're going to make a quarterback change. They're my dark horse to get Deshaun Watson. I think if you add Deshaun Watson to that roster, you immediately are Super Bowl favorites. I really do think Baker Mayfield is the only reason that the Browns are not Super Bowl favorites. And here's my argument. One, it's the best roster in football. I think that's kind of undeniable. They're at least top three. At every side of the ball, they are top of the board. I know the Baker believers are going to crucify me and say, oh, well, he's playing hurt. He's gritty. He's playing through all these injuries. Dude, it's week 12 in the NFL. Do you think he's the only player that's playing through injuries? Really? Do you think he's the only player that's playing through injuries? Third, the Cleveland Browns players have said there is no difference between Baker Mayfield and Case Keenum. Fourth, if you are that hurt, don't play. Get better. Stay off the field. And I understand that your playoff window is closing, but Case Keenum went to an NFC championship or an NFC conference game. Not conference game, divisional game. And won. So, not the NFC conference, but miracle in at the Saints when there was the most. Wait, who did they beat? Now I'm confused. But Case Keenum has playoff experience. I think with that, we're going to go wide receiver. I like Chris Olave here. I think Traylon Burks, if you keep Baker does not match up well with Baker's skill set. I think Jameson Williams, Jahan Dotson, and Chris Olave are all in play. Out of these three, I think I would probably go Olave. I think Olave. I just don't think Jarvis Landry should be your one. I think they should use Jarvis Landry to extend the field and have someone who's younger and faster to attack the intermediate parts of the field where Baker Mayfield wants to throw the ball. So for me, that would be Jahan Dotson or Chris Olave. I don't think he would excel with Traylon Burks or Drake London, who I have above all these guys, but I guess we go Olave here. It really could be any of these guys, but I don't think I've mocked Olave to the Browns, so we're going to do that. And then at pick 19, you have the Steelers. Steelers are at an interesting spot because they definitely need to start rebuilding, but it's hard because they're paying Kirk Cousins $66 million, and like they still could probably squeak into the wild card. But if they don't, Mike Zimmer's going to be fired. Their GM's probably going to get fired. And then at that point, like, do you start rebuilding it in 2022? But if they don't, like, I think they keep Kirk Cousins, which will always keep them competitive because Kirk Cousins is not a bad quarterback. He just doesn't win games. He's a very good statistical quarterback. So I don't want to take, like, a Jordan Davis who's doesn't have that crazy upside. Or, like, I want to take a player who has a lot of upside and needs time to develop. That's why I really like going corner here, because you could take someone like Andrew Booth and bank on his athleticism, and then by the time you draft a quarterback and are ready to compete again, he could potentially be a lockdown quarter. Or you could do the same thing with Roger McCreary, who has the same frame as Andrew Booth, not as athletic, but the same frame and could keep up with anybody down the field. Or you could take Ahmad Gardner, who is pretty much the sole undeniable bright spot in Cincinnati. There's a lot of bright spots on Cincinnati, but you can't doubt this kid's talent. You can't knock it. But for me, if I want the highest upside player, I'm going to take Andrew Booth. I think Andrew Booth could be a cornerback one and play at a very high level. I think he would struggle with someone like DK Metcalf or A.J. Brown. But I think against like a lot more finesse players, he could keep pace. But at pick 20, I think this is a no-brainer, especially if you're a Chargers fan. You need to address the run and stopping the run. You also do need to address edge, but like I said, after Ajabo is gone, I think a lot of these guys are second-round picks. Maybe Trayvon Walker or Jermaine Johnson and Agbari are the exceptions. I actually saw Agbari get mocked in like the top 10 today, which I thought was wild, but it could happen. We got to see what they measure out to be in the end of the season, the college season. But for right now, I think with Jordan Davis, just someone who consumes so much space on the field, and would immediately make it harder for teams to run on you. And you have Brandon Staley, who's an exceptional defensive coach. If right now he has to game plan to stop the run, you give Jordan Davis, he could game plan for a different weakness. And I'm pretty positive he will game plan at an appropriately, and the Chargers will be even more competitive. So I'm going to take Jordan Davis. Pick 20, it makes a ton of sense. 6'6", 340. Wow, he's smaller than Evan Neal, but crazy athlete. And then pick 21, this is where I want to go linebacker. I think you definitely can make the argument to go interior O-line. You could go anywhere on the O-line. You could go wide receiver. I think I've mocked wide receiver a ton. You could go edge, but I think that like with Jalen Phillips, who I was a huge fan of, is now playing up to his potential. He has the second most sacks for rookies, edge rushers. Rookies. He's behind Micah Parsons, and then Azeez Ojulari is after him. I think he has 6 sacks right now. Edge is definitely a need, but I think linebacker is more of a need. And if you take someone like Devin Lloyd, who can immediately be a Mike linebacker, it makes your run defense that much better. And he also is very good at dropping into zone coverage, which Brian Flores is not a bad. I think Brian Flores is getting a bad rap because he has to win with Tua, who I actually am been pretty surprised with. He's playing pretty well, or Jacoby Brissett, and they literally have one wide receiver. They have one wide receiver, so I don't blame their offensive struggles, but their defense has showed up finally. I think Devin Lloyd is a very good value pick at pick 21, especially I think Nakobe Dean is my linebacker one. I think this kid is just a better athlete, but the thing with Nakobe Dean that worries me is the size. He's only 6 foot 225, whereas Devin Lloyd is 6'3", 235. This makes it way harder to throw a ball over the middle. I know 3 inches doesn't seem like a lot, but it really is. I also think Devin Lloyd is an exceptional athlete. He's a plug-and-play Mike linebacker right away, in my opinion. Pick 22, the Bills need to go. Their O-line needs, to me, are more due to injury than actual skill. So I don't really think I want to take a lineman here. I made this argument last video, and I'm going to stick to it. I think you want to take the best wide receiver available because the Bills' biggest weakness is running back. They cannot run the ball. They have Matt Breida as their number one back right now over Zach Moss, who was a healthy scratch in the first time of his career, and Devin Singletary. I just don't think the value is here at pick 22. Maybe they could trade this pick and get a few more seconds possibly next round. But I think you want to make your strength stronger and leave your weaknesses to be. You'll address them when you can. And if you're going to be a 4 wide receiver offense, get the best wide receivers and make your strength uncoverable. Last video, we went Treylon Burks, who I think is a very good option. I think Jameson Williams with Josh Allen's arm could be very, very, very deadly. This kid is just a burner. Drake London is also in play. I just think he kind of does the same thing as Stephon Diggs. I think I want to go Jameson Williams because Jameson Williams is fast enough where he can catch a slant and just take it to the crib anytime he wants. And Jahan Dotson or Treylon Burks could be a very good compliment to Stephon Diggs. It's probably between these two. I think you want Stephon Diggs to attack the intermediate, so I'm looking for someone who can attack over the top or attack the shallow part of the field. So for me, it's probably between Jameson Williams and Treylon Burks. I think we went Treylon Burks last video, so let's go with Jameson Williams in this video. I think both are definitely in play. I think Jameson Williams is a great talent. Transferred from Ohio State to Alabama to get more playing time. He was behind Olave. He was behind Garrett Wilson. And he's played very well at Alabama. I'm very excited to see what he does in the playoffs when Alabama makes it. I don't think there's any chance they can't unless they get blown out by Georgia, which I don't think will happen. But anyway, pick 23. I went Treylon Burks last time, and I'm probably going to go Treylon Burks. Actually, no. Let's go with Drake London. It's going to be wide receiver here no matter how I cut it. But I think it's tough because I want to say Drake London has higher upside, but there's no injury concern with Treylon Burks. But Drake London also probably was on pace to be wide receiver 1 in his class if he had played the whole year. He was he had 800 yards or something in 7 games. And they don't use him, I think, how he should be used. Slovis has a pretty bad arm and isn't the best quarterback in the world. So they use him on a lot of wide receiver screens. I think he needs to play how the Colts are using Michael Pittman. They have the same build. They're from the same school. And Michael Pittman is having a breakout year. I think Drake London would be a phenomenal wide receiver 1 in this Lions offense where their 2 leaders in receiving yards are DeAndre Swift and TJ Hawkinson. Neither of them play wide receiver. So let's go with Drake London. I think that's it would be a nice pickup, especially with Jared Goff, who's used to playing with Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. He needs that guy who could go over the top. Maybe Jahan Dotson would have been a better fit for Jared Goff, but I think with how many QBs are still on the board, there's a good chance Desmond Ridder falls into the second. Actually, he will fall into the second unless someone trades up for him. Lions can take a gamble on him in the second round. I don't mind that at all. Or even Carson Strong. I think pick 24 is a no-brainer. Tyler Linderbaum, best center in the class. Best center, could be the best center we've seen in a while. I really like him for teams like the Giants, the Eagles. I really liked him. I drafted him to the Eagles, and someone commented on the video that it was dumb because, I don't care if you call me dumb. And then I appreciate him explaining why. Because he's right. They drafted Landon Dickerson last year in the first round, which is absolutely makes sense for why they wouldn't take Tyler Linderbaum. But the interesting thing and why I'm bringing up is because Jason Kelsey got hurt, and Landon Dickerson did not play center. I don't know. I forget the name of the guy they put in, but it was not Landon Dickerson, which was super interesting because maybe they're going to leave him at wherever he is. I forget if he's playing at guard. Yeah, he's definitely playing at guard. I just forget if it's right or left. So that's interesting. But Linderbaum could go to the Giants, who have Billy Price, the worst center in football. The Eagles, just to replace Jason Kelsey. Could definitely go to the Raiders. He's in play for the Raiders for 100%. But definitely in play for the Bengals. I think the Bengals would be stoked about this pick. But yeah, I think Linderbaum, just keep protecting Joe Burrow. Continue to hunker down on that O-line. It's played much better than it has, much better than expected. So yeah, I love this pick. Pick 25. I have gone safety a ton for the Cowboys. I've gone edge, I think, twice for the Cowboys, maybe once. But with these guys, the only one I would want to take is Kingsley Enagbare. I think he's just fantastic talent. I think he's super slept on. Broshmo is like super into Enagbare. He had him go top 10. I think he's just a very aggressive player. And like he's not too one-dimensional where Karlaftis just has like an unbeatable bull rush or these other players. He's just very violent when he rushes the edge. He has great bend. I don't know why they have him so low. I think he's actually dropped a little bit from where he was last time. I also like Jermaine Johnson here. He's been playing very well out of Florida State. This would allow Micah Parsons to kind of, cut loose whether they want to blitz him off the edge or they want to keep him at linebacker. Over the middle. I think they would want someone who can drop into coverage. So if they send Parsons, they have someone who can drop back into coverage. And to me, that would be Trayvon Walker out of Georgia. I just don't know if he's going to come out this year. I don't know if the sample size is big enough for where I want to take a gamble on him. So let's go with Jermaine Johnson. I like that pick. I think it's a solid fit for the Cowboys. And to go straight to the Chiefs, this has to be defense. Like, absolutely has to be defense. You could go Leal, but I think DeMarvin Leal is dropping for good reason. I think it has to be defense. I don't feel comfortable taking a wide receiver, even though they kind of need one. McCole Hardman fumbles if you sneeze on him. You have Sauce Gardner here. There's a lot of good value picks at corner. I just think they need to generate some pressure, and they have not been able to do that at all. Drake Jackson I'm not a huge Drake Jackson guy, but he makes sense here. We're going to go with Enagbare. I think he has the most upside out of all these guys. I'm assuming Trayvon Walker goes back to school. But yeah. And then at pick 27, definitely want to go linebacker here. I'm going to go Nakobe Dean. I think that's a no-brainer. They need help stopping the run. Their defense has been way better than everybody expected, especially since losing Derrick Henry. It's been the talking point of the Titans. I think if you add Nakobe Dean, someone who's just like a heat-seeking missile for the ball, this defense gets a lot better. And it keeps the offense on the field a lot more where Derrick Henry shines. But at pick 28, we have the Buccaneers. To me, there's a few options you could go. They need secondary depth more than anything. I also like wide receiver here because you don't know what's going to happen with Chris Godwin or Antonio Brown. I think personally, this pick depends on what Tom Brady wants on the day. I think he would love someone like Treylon Burks. I also think he would love someone like Jahan Dotson. Just someone who could attack the middle of the field and let Mike Evans take the top off and just be that physical perimeter receiver. But I guess if we're going to go wide receiver, yeah, those definitely would be the two options. But I think I'm not too high on DeMarvin Leal anymore. I think he's just not what they would need. I like Roger McCreary a lot here. It really just depends on does Tom Brady want a corner or does he want a receiver? And I think with the likely chance that either Chris Godwin or Antonio Brown leaves, they're going to need receiver help. They have Tyler Johnson, who isn't bad, and they have Jalen Darden, who isn't bad, but to take a first-round talent and really fix something that makes your team so good because their offense wins them games, especially with how hurt their defense is on the front and in the secondary. I'm going to go with Jahan Dotson. I think they do need someone to take the top off. Mike Evans isn't as fast to take the top off, but he still will because he's that contested catcher. Jahan Dotson can attack from the perimeter. He can go down deep down the sideline. He also can attack over the middle. I think he provides the most versatility over someone like Treylon Burks. Where I picked 29, I'm going to take Treylon Burks. I think with, what's his name, pretty much probably going to be released or traded. Oh, God, what's his name? They drafted him in the first round a few years ago. Has been horrible. Not horrible, but just like not good for a first-round pick. It's not Jacoby Myers. It's going to kill me. I forget. If you're a Pats fan, comment below what his name is. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Huge letdown. And I think with how aggressive they're getting with Mac Jones is averaging 8.3 air yards, which is, I think he led the league in Week 12. I think that Treylon Burks would be a great fit for him to have that physical receiver who could go up and get it, who also is like, he does not look fast, but he is very, very fast. I love Treylon Burks for the Pats. I think this is a great fit. And then at pick 30, I've gone wide receiver every time, but there's no wide receivers left that I would probably take in the first round. I think with this pick, you definitely could go to Marvin Leal. Has a ton of upside. He could play on the interior, and he could play on the edge. I think his size is why. He's 6'4", 290, and he's been playing edge predominantly. I think he will play edge in the NFL. I think with all the wide receivers gone, you definitely want to go address the biggest need, and I think Leal could address the edge help and interior D-line depending. And I think Matt LaFleur is a good enough head coach to know what to do with him, just being with how successful they've been. I don't think it's all Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is like 80% of the Packers' success, but I do think Matt LaFleur is a good coach. Pick 31. I want to protect Lamar Jackson. Forgot his name for a second. Slate. I just think with Ronnie Stanley being banged up, they let go of Orlando Brown. Ravens definitely need help on the O-line. You could either go interior or get a tackle. Either are in play. I think Zion Johnson could possibly squeak it to the first round. Same with Thayer Munford or Sean Ryan, who could play tackle or guard. But I'm going to go with a more clear-cut at the moment first-round prospect. And that's between Trevor Penning or Nicholas. We're just going to call him Nicholas. Or Nicholas. I'm going to go with Trevor Penning. I think Trevor Penning is an absolute mauler who will just flatten someone. And I think that, if someone's on the ground, it's just a bigger hole for Lamar Jackson to run through. And I do believe Lamar Jackson is a great passer, too. Like, I'm not saying that as in he can't throw the ball. I just think keep him upright, give him time in the pocket, and let him work. And Trevor Penning's going to do that. At pick 32, we're going to go edge with this one. And shout out to my boy Red Wave, who is like filling me in on the Cardinal situation. With their attacking 3-4 defense, I think that Drake Jackson is the pick. I'm not a huge Drake Jackson fan. I think I can make the case that Trayvon Walker could be a better player. I just don't know if he's going to fit that scheme as well. I'm not too brushed up on that stuff, but we're gonna shout out to him. So we're gonna go with Drake Jackson for him. But anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for this mock draft. It's late, so I'm pretty wiped. That's going to do it for this mock draft. I think it's definitely an interesting one. Players are moving all over the board. Some of these picks were just to switch it up, but in mock draft 5, I am going to do it as if I was the GM of the teams, so there will be trades. Probably be the only one we have trades in until March, like I've been saying. I just don't really agree with doing trades without knowing anything about who wants to trade or what happens in free agency or the offseason, etc. But anyway, stay tuned on the channel. It's been rough because I started a new job, but gonna get back to doing all like the fantasy stuff and NFL coverage stuff. We're gonna do our power rankings video, all that good stuff. So turn the notifications on. But anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for this video. That's gonna do it for me. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.